Hey guys, it is me, Tanya, founder of the TNG Designs Group Limited. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Now, in this particular video, I'm going to be covering 5 key tips that you need to make sure that you know, especially when it comes to branding yourself on social media. Now, these particular tips, as you know, is all about making sure that you start understanding how to show up as yourself in a way that's always going to be congruent to your standards and your beliefs, because that's super important, especially on social media. Social media is one way that will help your audience to not only find out more about yourself, but equally to understand you even more so. Also, off the back of that, to understand that you can actually help them in a way that suits their own needs as well. Now, when you understand how to make sure that you not only get to grips with these tips that I'm about to share with you, but also when you understand how to show up as yourself in a way that's congruent to your standards and your beliefs, your brand will help you to present yourself in a way that is more authentic to who it is that you actually are, rather than constantly modeling yourself on somebody else. Well, obviously, do your research to find out what helps others as well. But however, when it comes to you now, bringing it back to you, you need to be able to know and understand how you can do that for yourself in a way that literally just suits and sits better with you. Now, before we get stuck into this particular video, please make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel. Also stick around to the very end, because I'm going to share with you how you can actually continuously take action with all the things that I share with you, but equally also with some key principles that are going to make sure that you are not only reaching out to the people that you want to reach out to, but equally are making those better connections and building on those relationships as well, so that you can start building that brand that's sustainable, that grows in the way that you're actually looking for it to grow, and equally just starts giving you the results that you're also looking for too. So let's get stuck into the video. So, okay, as I said, we are going to be talking about 5 key branding tips for your social media, right? And especially how you actually show up on social media. Now, the first key thing, I'm pretty sure that you're probably going to guess exactly what it is, but this is where we need to start, especially when it comes to showing up as your own brand on social media, and that's knowing your brand VPV. Now, how do you even discover a VPV? It's also what I coin as your brand power of 3, but essentially it is understanding your vision, your purpose, and your values, in whichever order you do them. However, I will always say start with your values first, simply because you need to know these key things about yourself, but also these key things that will help to drive you towards standing up and showing up as you. These key things, your values more specifically, but as well as your vision and your purpose, will help your brand to stand out in the way that suits you as well. But then also, those key things will help you to understand who you need to be reaching out to, who you need to be speaking to, exactly who your audience should be and where you should be showing up, and also the type of people that you actually want to be working with. Now, it doesn't just have to relate to your brand in the working environment or in the personal brand space. It can also relate to you as well in life in general. So I urge you to start there, tap into what your values are, what puts a natural smile on your face. That's how you discover what your brand values are. For example, for me, my brand values are freedom, but freedom of space and peace of mind more specifically. They are openness, they are also creativity, and they are also having fun. And it can be a phrase, by the way, it doesn't have to be a singular word, but either way, pick key values that put that big smile on your face naturally. You'll know what they are when they come to you. If you're creating your brand for your business, the brand or the values should actually pertain to the idea of what you want as results or the outcome that you want for your audience. Okay, so think of it like that. So that's your brand power of 3, otherwise known as your vision, purpose, and values. Now let's go directly into this next thing, which is knowing your unique human point. That second tip is super key in order to be able to make sure that you are constantly building on that relationship with your audience. Your unique human point, or keeping it human, is what will help others to relate to you. You've got to keep it relative to others so that they can know and appreciate, do you know what? Oh my gosh, they've gone through that same experience. Oh my gosh, they get it. They get the journey. They get where I'm at. Because at the end of the day, folks, you are an example of a way forward. You may not feel that you are, but you most definitely are a way forward. So others need to see and appreciate the fact that, you know what, you were once where they were. So now help them to understand and see that, guess what, this is where you could also be. And guess what, this is how you can also move forwards. Because that's what we're doing. We're helping people to move forwards, especially on social media. Whether it be as your personal brand or whether it be as a business brand, you are helping your audience to move forwards, to help them to understand how they can do that. Now, let's jump into the third tip, right? To be able to understand how you can show up on social media. This third tip will literally leapfrog off the back of what I've just shared with you. And it will be all about the idea of knowing your formative flaws, knowing your feels, but equally also knowing your facts as well. So that's formative flaws, feels, and facts. Remember, I've done a video about this before, so tap back into that video to understand how you can make sure that you bring the human element to you, but equally understand what each and every one of those things can actually mean for the progress of your social media platform. When you address your formative flaws, your feels, as well as your facts, you're going to understand even more so how to make sure that unique human point comes to the surface even better, because it will bring the value element to the table. With the value element now to the table, this is when people's ears or levels of engagement start to happen a little bit more and a little bit more, and then some and then some. It's going to start progressing. When you address those key things, you're going to start seeing the results that you're actually looking for. Now, this particular next tip that I want to make sure that you are most definitely tapping into is the idea of knowing what's known as your frequency or consistency, right? Whether that be posting once a week, whether it be posting twice a week, whatever your frequency is, be consistent with it. Know what that is, simply because social media in general just loves frequency. It loves consistency. So whatever your frequency is, even if it's as low as once every other week, be consistent with that. Be consistent on the day that you're actually showing up as well. Now, we all know that the truth is in the numbers, right? So check your algorithm stats as well. Understand, okay, I seem to be getting a lot more engagement on this specific time, on this specific day. So check the back end of things. I will urge you to do that. There are videos out there to be able to help you to understand how to do that as well. It is super straightforward. I wouldn't be saying if it wasn't. So please know that it is super straightforward in order to be able to check those figures. Now, let's go on to this last tip for yourself, right? This last tip, I've touched base on it already, but it's a tip that many people tend to overlook a bit or tend to miss the mark on a little bit as well. But knowing this particular tip is the difference between you, again, missing the mark versus you hitting the mark, nailing it on the head, and equally making sure that you are building those connections that you are really wanting to make sure that you are building. Now, I'm talking about the idea of commonality. As I said, I touched base on it a minute ago, but it is a key tip that not many people use properly. And what I mean by using properly, I'm talking about the idea of how you relating to people or creating that commonality factor that literally draws in the attention of your audience, but helps them to know that you get it. And by it, I'm talking about the experience. I'm talking about, again, if we go back to that third tip, right, which is understanding your formative flaws, understanding your feels, understanding the facts, the experience. When you share your experience, when you share the fact that, you know what, you get the journey that they're on, you get the position that they're at, that's when you start seeing the difference in levels of engagement. Simply because they now understand that you get them. Right? When they get that level of understanding, they now know how they can move forwards with you. Because remember, folks, we're showing up because we want to help others to move. Move from the states that they are in, move from the positions that they are in, move from the things that aren't currently working for them, move from where they were so that they can be inspired to get going in whatever shape and way that may be. Obviously, positively. That's all we ever preach over here. It's all about positive movements, okay? So, folks, tap into those tips. Use them to your own advantage to make sure that you are showing up with your brand, especially on social media, in a way that's congruent to your standards and your beliefs. Now, I shared with you at the very beginning of this video how you can make sure that you are constantly taking action to suit you, right? And you do that by way of tapping into these key principles that I'm going to share with you. If you just literally go ahead and click on the first link, that's the first link in the description box below this video. Tap on that first link, get to grips with these key principles. And yes, you will be asked for just a few details, but I need those in order to be able to send you the key principles. These key principles will help you to keep moving, not only get going, but to keep moving. Because that's the important part, right? I'm sure you'll agree that you'll get an umpteenth amount of things emailed to you, just festering in your inbox. Make sure you tap onto these principles because they're going to help you to keep moving. They're going to help you to gain that momentum, to understand how you can start showing up in a way that's congruent to your standards and beliefs, suitable for you, all in a way that you get to grips with the idea of, do you know what, you are more than what you see. We are always working on this surface level, but now get to grips with what's happening underneath that surface level, how you're really helping people, how you're really motivating people and helping them to move forwards. You will do that by understanding what those key principles are for yourself. So I'm going to leave it there, folks. Make sure you go ahead and like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the other side.